tourism. So it is National Tourism Month in September here in South Africa. And as we lead up to that and approach Tourism Month this September, the national focus is on growing South Africa's tourism sector in the digital era. That puts technology and artificial intelligence into the conversation, as we noted, but also raises broader questions about the country's tourism strategy. In a global market where travelers can discover and book almost anywhere from their phones, and in other places. Which markets are we reaching as we have these conversations? Which digital innovations are most important to promote and to simplify the promotion of tourism at this time? On the line with me to have a conversation about this digital era and the wider tourism economy is Thandiwe Mathibela, General Manager for Public Relations, Communications and Stakeholder Relations at SAT, or the South African Tourism, as it were. Welcome to the program. Thank you very much for joining us, Thandiwe.
Thank you so much, and hello to all the listeners.
Thank you. I think this is such an important theme and focus for this year when we look at tourism and the digital era. But South Africa's national tourism mandate is ultimately about growing tourism and its contribution to the economy. So let's start there. Perhaps you can unpack for us what the mandate looks like at this time in this era of tourism in South Africa.
So like you rightly put it, South African tourism's mandate is ready to market the country both to international travelers who are looking to come and have a leisure experience in South Africa, as well as obviously to domestic travelers who are looking to explore and get to know their own country. Over and above that, we do market to businesses that are looking to come host events, whether they are from other parts of the world or even within South Africa. So that is what we call the business events industry, or the meetings, incentives, conferences, as well as the exhibitions. So that's we abbreviated as MICE. That is what we do. Ultimately, our strategic intent as South African tourism is to contribute to the economy, and that is the work that we do. Yes.
All right. I'd like us to just talk about the theme for this year at this time, looking at tourism sector in the digital era. This suggests that digital transformation is no longer simply a marketing tool, but something that needs to be enforced. So what has fundamentally changed then about the way South Africa needs to approach tourism growth?
The thing about it is that we know that because almost everybody has got a a mobile device, and there's a lot of social media and platforms where people are exchanging ideas and knowledge. We know TikTok is really, really big, and that is where actually people tend to go when they want to know what next experience to have. That has meant that we obviously need to do or pivot in how it is that we promote our content as South African tourism, so that we can actually reach people where they are. As the entity as well, we do a lot of insights so that we can understand behavior of people, understand what they're looking for, where they want to get it, the kind of experiences they want to have. And in doing so, we ensure that we give them, what they're looking for, so that it's easy for them to opt in, whether as a domestic traveler or even as an international traveler. We also know that, mobile, word of mouth is also a very big thing. So people tend to share, and people also believe friends and families, and that is the work that we do as South African tourism. And the digital platforms are really, really pivotal, and they're really, really good for us to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I want to stay on that note that you made around your behavioral analysis work, as it were, and you trying to really meet the audience at the point of decision. How is South Africa now adapting to the tourism strategy, as you noted, to meet the travelers?
So there is a lot of, like I said, insights that we do, so that we make sure that, any traveler that's looking to travel to South Africa gets the information that they're looking for, and they're attracted to come to South Africa. So there isn't a one Indian traveler, as an example. There are segments within a certain market, and we target those markets so that we make sure that we either cater for a family or we cater for a solo traveler. So we really, really do go deep into our insights, so that we are able to meet people at their point of need. But also over and above that, just as an entity, we want to work with different people within the tourism sector, and that is how we are going to drive growth. So there is a tourism growth partnership plan, which is something that was spearheaded by the Minister of Tourism, together with the greater tourism industry, and South African tourism is part and parcel of that. In fact, we are in the lead. We are doing destination marketing work with the rest of the sector. So we're doing joint programs so that we communicate uniformly, we communicate the right messaging, and that so that the traveler out there gets the same message and is able to understand what it is that they can get out of South Africa. And amongst those things that actually I also looked after from the tourism growth partnership plan are issues such as aviation access, safety and security, skills development. It's all a really all-encompassing approach to ensuring that we achieve the growth numbers that we're looking for, again, both domestically as well as internationally.
Mm-hmm. In terms of just the public-facing work that to know the conferencing and exhibitions, I want to make reference to an earlier occasion. Of course, the Africa Travel Indaba is a big deal when we look at the travel calendar here in South Africa, and it draws a lot of international interest. I mean, we've got great safari experiences in South Africa, and so much that is happening in tourism. In reference to that, I mean, how do you use that as a bigger picture and that particular, convening, as it were, to really look at the bigger picture of what's happening in the rest of the African continent and how we can learn from one another in this digital era to grow South Africa's tourism sector?
So I'm so glad that you mentioned Africa's Travel Indaba. That is one of our strategic events that takes place annually during May. It is where, together with the rest of the African continent, we come under one roof and we showcase a wide array of tourism experiences that can be found across the African continent, right? And we do it together as a continent because as South Africa, we believe that for all of us, for our country to win, all of us must actually win. So we really partner for growth there. And our focus at this year's Indaba really had a lot to do with the digital platforms. We had a ministerial discussion just around how people and ministers at that level, at that policy level, can actually drive the digital era and inform, regulations and policies around that. And then we also had a great conversation via TikTok, where we also had a presentation where TikTok presented to enable, businesses within the tourism sector on how to best show up on the digital platforms and to communicate with the consumer and to interact and engage with the consumer. So digital is really, really big. What I do also want to say is that, recently South African tourism partnered with the South African Music Awards all the way out in Sun City. And what we were doing there was to ensure that we showcase, the intersection between tourism, arts, culture, and heritage. And that is the kind of work that we do because we do know that, consumers want to interact with the heritage, consumers want to interact with their culture. Culture is really the new currency, and culture is really where people find, that they are able to connect with the destination. And that's why we actually partnered with the South African Music Awards, amongst other things. With Tourism Month being September, it's also Heritage Month in South Africa. So it again emphasizes that intersection between arts and culture. And we are going to be taking, participation in quite a few activities that involve arts and culture, but also in quite a few initiatives that actually drive this theme of digital. Come the 27th of September, we will be in Limpopo, where we will be having our World Tourism Day celebrations. And of course, we can't wait to showcase the length and breadth of that beautiful province.
And that is the innovation part of the work. So wonderful to hear that South African tourism is really changing travel here in South Africa and using the digital ecosystem to make sure that opportunities exist. Thandiwe Mathibela is joining me in her capacity as the General Manager for PR, Comms and Stakeholder Relations at South African Tourism. I beg your pardon. Let's take a break and return.
Africa World Hour with Mpositole.
David Njumbe, who's a long-serving personal assistant to Tundu Lisu for over 15 years, on the night of 20 May, he survived a shocking abduction attempt just meters from his home. Talk us through what exactly happened on that night.
It is something that happened in my head. I expected to meet such situation for several months since the first attempt to abduct me was 6 months ago. there was a car coming very speedy behind me. I let them go. Instead of going, more than 6 people came out of that car and attacked me and they said they are police. I started fighting back and they handcuffed me. Immediately they started beating me, and one of them was telling me, "You have been running here and there. Now it's your time, it's your day, it's your last day."
Africa World Hour with Mpositole. Catch it on the Channel Africa app, SABC Plus, and on channelafrica.co.za. Weekdays from 9 till 10 p.m. Central African Time. The Journal with Mmatsheko Mosito.
22 minutes into 11 a.m. in Central African Time. Thank you very much for staying with us here on Channel Africa as we look ahead at National Tourism Month, which is happening this September here in South Africa. But really, a bigger conversation about what is happening in tourism is what we are unpacking here and looking at the grand theme of growing South Africa's tourism sector in the digital era. Thandiwe Mathibela continues to join me on the line. She, of course, represents South African tourism in her capacity as a general manager there for PR, comms and stakeholder relations. Thandiwe, I'd like us to look at opportunities within tourism. So if technology is going to be central for tourism and its growth, how do we ensure that we look at the transformation and the benefits that come with that in the broader tourism sector? So growing of small businesses, emerging destinations. I mean, we had a little journal note a little bit earlier looking at emerging destinations, the small villages, the little dorpies that are coming into, public knowledge, and other ways to grow when we look at perhaps establishment of tourism hubs, etc.
Thank you so much for that question. And I'm really, really glad that you asked it, because a lot of the work that South African tourism does puts front and center, the considerations just around ensuring that we really empower, people from the smaller provinces. Mm-hmm. This is why we also, Limpopo is not by no means a small province, but it's one of those provinces that we have to continue to cast a light on so that people can actually consider to go to this province as well. And that's why Tourism Month is also happening there. Right. The essence of Tourism Month is for us to actually drive geographic spread. So drive people to go to provinces that they wouldn't ordinarily consider, right? And I must commend, the domestic travelers. They've really, really done well this year. Holiday trips, as in the number of people that are actually taking holidays are looking really, really healthy. And we know that also, there is more overnight travel. Whilst people are spending less, obviously, because there is an economic crunch for people, but people are continuing to travel. And we really, really love that, because what that means is that the smaller business is able to actually benefit from this. But to be practical and just illustrate to you how it is that we are ensuring that we drive small dorpies, we are also working with, the organization called Satovito, which is really about townships, villages. Mm-hmm. So Satovito is actually an association that is there to drive, experiences in townships and in villages as well as in small dorpies. We do have an MOU with them, and we do conduct, various projects with them so that we can drive and promote the smaller, players within the tourism industry. But over and above that, through the Tourism Grading Council of South Africa, we've got what we call the Basic Quality Verification Program. So what the Basic Quality Verification Program is that we look at accommodation establishments that are not within your normal, metropolis. So they are within the township areas, and we make sure that we put them at a level where they are ready to receive the traveler. So we are actually gearing them up to be able to be graded. And once they are graded, obviously, then they are able to get into, even receiving more guests. But it really is a system that we're putting in place so that people can get an opportunity to play a big part within the economy, because tourism really is about inclusive economy. We also know that the president has also elevated the role of tourism in terms of its contribution to the economy, and that that comes with, with a lot of work that we'll be doing with the various partners. So we really are busy as a sector. And you mentioned earlier Africa's Travel Indaba. At Africa's Travel Indaba, we have a dedicated area where we actually showcase, where these developing businesses, so that everybody that is then coming from the various parts of the world can actually get to interact with them and get to know, what it is that they offer and go back and package. Because the idea is that we promote these experiences so that the people that actually put the experiences in front of travelers are able to say there is this business that you can, or there is this experience that you can enjoy in South Africa, and that experience being an SMME would grow a long way. We do have incentive programs as well. We work with the sector, both private as well as in government, to ensure that we partner and opportunities that really put women, youth, at the heart of the tourism sector as well.
Oh man, I think it's really wonderful how you have consistently put emphasis on the partnerships and the collaborations in this conversation, because those are ultimately going to assist South African tourism to get, to understand where the pulse is and where the work can be done. But we are looking forward to World Tourism Day, the national celebration that's going to be happening on the 27th of September, as you noted, Thandiwe, hosted in Mapungubwe National Park. Is that correct?
We are still finalizing the venue, but definitely in the province of Limpopo.
Okay, wonderful. We are definitely going to be looking forward to that, and we hope we will get an invitation from South African Tourism to come and cover that.
Best believe.
You best believe. We love it. Thank you very much, Thandiwe. Thank you for the wonderful work you do.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thandiwe Mathibela, General Manager for PR, Comms and Stakeholder Relations at South African Tourism. So you heard it. We're going to Limpopo in September to cover the national celebrations, and we with that would love to hear from you as to what is happening in tourism in your particular part of the African region, because this is an inclusive conversation. So whether you are in the safari space, or you are in the hospitality space, or you are a content creator within tourism, I think the vastness of the sector presents so many wonderful opportunities. We'd love to hear from you.
Women who lead, women who lift.